What's going on, Garage Gang? Matt from GarageMC here, guys. In today's video, we are, I don't really even have a clue as to where this video is going to be going, but I know what bike we're going to be working on, so that's a start, right? The 1986 Honda ATC200X. While the 350X frame is finally getting powder coated, which, by the way, gotta have that bike built like in the next 5 weeks because I'm planning on riding that at Preston's event. Preston from This Old Trike. If you guys don't know who that is, check out his channel, This Old Trike. Especially if you're into three-wheelers, I'm assuming, since you clicked on this video, that I have no clue what we're doing yet. But let's talk about this thing real quick. I bought this bike a few months ago, guys, with the intent to part it out. But if you guys watched the video when we first got this thing fired right up, goes through all its gears, runs like a top. So we did a video recently on it. I redid the forks. I put new fork seals and these new boots from 223cycles.net. Definitely check them out. 86, 87 is supposed to have blue fork boots, and they don't make the OEM ones anymore, so there's your best option for that. And they fit perfectly too. They're not like oversized like some of the cheesy eBay ones that you see for 20 bucks. But so I started sanding the plastics out. It's pretty bright out here. You know what? Let me clean up the 330R that we just got done. I'll have riding videos of this very soon, guys. I gotta mount the hood and I gotta kind of tweak the tuning on it a little bit. The idle's a little off and she was running a little hot. So probably got an air pocket in the coolant, system somewhere. But other than that, ran excellent. Ran very well. The Fox floats that I was upset about, they actually work pretty good. They feel pretty good. I'm still pissed off about them, but if you don't know what happened there, check out the last video on this. Good old ATV Galaxy. Thanks a lot, guys. Anyway, all right, let me clean up a little bit. We'll get this thing in here so you guys can actually see what we're looking at because it's so damn bright. Stay tuned. All right, so somewhat straightened up. Didn't even start working yet, and I already ripped my finger open, so that's a good sign as to how today's gonna go. All right, so my plans with this bike, guys, I don't want to spend any more money on it. I got it for a really good price. Like I said, I was going to part it out. Just what those rear OEM fenders go for alone is about what I paid for the whole bike, FYI. So I'm not going to do a full strip and then, powder coat the frame and everything. The frame, I still think this this trike is pretty low hours. That's the only boot rub on the whole frame, like as far as, where you'd see wear. Yeah, the stator cover's got some wear. So what I'd like to do is I have a whole stainless steel bolt kit for the engine. The engine is what kind of makes this thing look a little tattered. The DG exhaust, that's going to set the whole mood here. I'm going to take that off, and I got new gaskets and studs and Eggcorn nuts for the exhaust where it mounts to the head up there. I'd like to pull the engine and vapor blast it and then recoat it black. Anything that would be zinc coated, as in like the clutch actuator arm, the decompression arm, which needs to be straightened out a little bit. Cable still works fine. This would still stay aluminum, so I'll vapor blast those and leave them bare aluminum. Clean up the breather tubes. It has a Chinese carb on it, which I'm not a fan of, but I got the OEM carb with the bike, so I'll probably see what I could do with that. The airbox, I have the OEM airbox, lid, boot, all that stuff. I sent that out to CFM Performance, and they copied it and made an aluminum airbox for the 86, 87 ATC200X. So if you flat trackers out there, which is what most people use these 200X for, are interested, these are now available from CFM Performance. You're welcome. There's the OEM stuff. Here's a bunch of parts that I have for it. I'm going to polish the plastics up on my own time, off camera. You guys have seen me do that before. It's the same friggin' arduous, tedious task as before. But yeah, so clean up the engine, recoat that black, sand down the fins where they're supposed to be, where it's supposed to be bare aluminum. I believe it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. Just on the side, get bare aluminum. I'll probably, you know, do a couple little custom things like sand down the Honda logo. I have new timing inspection caps, actually from the 450R. Same thing across the board if you guys are looking for those. I'm going to repowder coat the skid plates black. I have the kicker off. I went ahead and fixed that because when it was folded out, it was like, you know, it was worn out, so it was like not straight with the peg. I have NOS foot pegs. They're never been used. Those are going to go on. I'll redo the brake lever. I'll probably clean up the master cylinder. I got to throw brake pads on, which I now have. And then bolt the engine back in. Put a new chain on it. And I got those tires mounted and balanced over there. I'm going to run 18s on the back of this. I want to make this a little fun bike that you could slide around. I got ODI grips. I might throw streamline levers on it. Not sure yet. Headlight works now. New bulb. And yeah, you know, my little corny stuff. Honda valve stem caps on all 5 areas that they would get them. And I might vapor blast and clean up the rear shock because it's a little dirty looking, but this thing is like, if you guys can hear that, this thing is in great shape. But I'm going to pull the exhaust, sandblast it, and if that comes out good, we're going to continue. All right, so let's get a good before and after here. This thing is pretty, it's pretty shot. This camera will focus, but let's see what we can't get, you know, achieved here. Anybody wondering, man, if you're the guy out there that is putting 13mm bolts on these bikes, get your lazy ass to the hardware store or go on RockyMountainATV.com and order yourself a bolt. What you spent in gas money to go pick up this 13mm from, like, you know, Walmart or wherever, Home Depot. You don't put 13mm on bikes, all right? Is it better than no bolt? Debatable. But anyway, all right, wish me luck, guys. Oh, and for any of you that are wondering, because I know there's going to be somebody that's going to ask, I'm not going to say what your question might be, but the answer is yes, and it's $15,000. If that's too much for you, get a job. And look at the going rate for bikes nowadays. So no exceptions. It's 15K. It's probably less than what I'm into it for. All right. I don't know why I told you that, but anyway, all right. I'm gonna do this exhaust, man. Cross your fingers for me. All right, so the exhaust. Almost not even worth putting the effort into doing this, but the silencer is gonna clean up pretty good. The head pipe is pretty damn pitted, so I have a plan for that. These DG exhausts, they're like, I think a brand new whole system for this bike's like $250 shipped or something like that. You know, my time to, I'm just going to high heat black this thing and call it a day, and probably heat wrap the head pipe if it doesn't look that good, which I'd probably do anyway since that's kind of my thing with 4-strokes. But buying a new one for $250, I wouldn't buy a new DG for this. I think the DG sounds like complete dog crap, and it's super loud, but we're just going to make it work. But I started making a few other decisions here on this bike. Taking off all the stuff that's going to get powder coated or recoated black, like the rear master. The foot pedal, I believe, is going to go the same color as the kick lever, which is going to be like a charcoal gray. I think I'm going to go ahead and pull the skid plates off because those are going to go black. And since I'm pulling the engine out anyway, I got to pull that pivot bolt out. I mean, this is where stuff just gets out of hand and starts going too far. I got a new chain for it, so I'm going to cut that chain off. And I might as well take the shock off, like I said, get that vapor blasted, and then I'm going to clean up this axle. And if I'm going to do that, I might as well vapor blast the carrier and recoat the friggin' swing arm. And man, this is just how stuff gets out of hand, guys. But I'm trying to do what we could do to this bike without spending another dime on it. I'm not going to buy anything else for it. If I don't already have it, it ain't happening. So I'm going to continue stripping this stuff down. I'm not going to do a how-to on pulling this bike apart, guys. I'm just taking shit off the bike. You know what I mean? So basically, this video is just, you guys are just chilling with me in the garage like it normally is. And we'll see what we can do with just some labor and materials that I already have. You know? So alright, we'll pick back up after I get the skid plates off and start pulling the engine out. And yeah, we'll see where we can get. Okay, so like I said, we picked back up after I took the skid plates off and thought about taking the engine out. Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. I really am starting to question why I do the things I do. We could have put a gas tank on this thing and rode this. And as far as I'm not spending another dime on this bike, that kind of went out the window. So, you know, I just, for some reason, can't bring myself to put old, nasty stuff back on a bike when I can get OEM replacements. Anyway, here we are. So, she lost a little bit of weight. And I'll tell you, this is one hell of an engine to tweak and twist and, you know, get out of that frame. So, here's the engine. Engine definitely needed to be cleaned up. So, I mean, this is just like, this is just labor, is what this is, which, you know, depending on how you look at it, I guess could be worth more than just throwing parts at something. But believe it or not, you could still get the stator and clutch cover brand new OEM. It's like 80 bucks for the stator cover, and it's like $110 or $98 or something for the clutch cover. Not going to do that. I don't really need them. So here we are. I am right now debating, should I plug this engine off and try and squeeze it into the vapor blaster, which I think it's going to be a little bit much as far as the weight goes on that screen that's down there. I guess I could take that out, or do I just throw this thing on the engine stand and clean it up by hand and then recoat it, which is probably going to be the option I'm going to go with. Because if I end up vapor blasting that, I'm probably going to like it and then put it back in there fully vapor blasted, which is not the direction I'm trying to go here, guys. I want to kind of keep this bike looking as stock as I can keep it looking. I started looking for a part. The front sprocket guard, I cannot seem to find one anywhere, and I don't want the cheesy stamped steel one that says 200X for it. I want the OEM front sprocket guard. So it's not going to stop us from, you know, putting this bike back together. I can put that on at any time, but I just can't seem to find one anywhere. I reached out to a bunch of my friends that would probably have something like that, and nobody does. I hit up eBay sellers that are parting bikes like this out, and none of them even have one. So I don't know, you know, it'll work without it obviously, but I'd like to have it. So anyway, all right, I got this one skid plate. The front skid plate is in the sandblaster. That does not go black on this bike. It goes silver, like an aluminum color, kind of like the swing arm, but the rear one goes black. So basically right now I'm just going to continue working and separating all this stuff that goes black. This way I can do it all at one shot. I got the grab bar over there sandblasted. In between all this, I'm fighting the 350X seat cover onto the new seat foam. Also just got a cover for this bike. That's the proper one for 86. Great company that makes those, man. They're out of Thailand. They are like spot the hell on. I've ordered one for every machine I have. Still gonna pull the rear shock off and vapor blast that too, and I'm probably gonna touch up the swing arm. So let me continue getting the chassis in a decent spot. I gotta clean up all that stuff down there. I also found a red that's the exact touch-up color for it. At least it looks exact anyway. This Rust-Oleum apple red. It's the closest thing I have. So, you know, here's a couple spray outs here. So we'll see how far we go. All right, let me get back to it. All right, so here's the spray outs here. This is a this is like caliper paint red, and then this is that apple red. Keep in mind it's on a piece of white cardboard, but when the sun hits that, it looks pretty damn close. It'll look better than rust and paint chipped away, you know what I mean? The head pipe cleaned up pretty damn good. Cleaned up pretty good. It's almost like it's textured, obviously, because it was like pitted, but no holes in it. So we're doing all right with that. I still have to do the silencer. Not really a big deal to get that done right now. I placed a large order. Basically, I was getting the rest of the stuff I needed for the 350X, and I think I was like just shy of $75 on Rocky Mountain. So I'm like, oh, let me see what's available for the 200X. bad idea for me to do that, because you can almost get every piece of hardware on this bike OEM. Like, I even ordered the little rubber that goes on the shifter. You know, go in there trying to add another $8-9 worth of stuff on there, because that's what you're going to pay for shipping anyway. It's kind of like you get free parts. Definitely check out Rocky Mountain if you guys are looking for OEM parts. Rocky Mountain, hit me up, man. And, you know, got carried away a little bit. So we got a whole list of parts coming for this thing. I think I showed it to you guys in the last video on the 350X. Rounding up all the parts for that. You know, put the shelf in here, and I'm getting all organized to get that blasted out. We're gonna have to get that done pretty damn quick too. So anyway, all right, like I just said, let me get back to cleaning this up, and we'll see where we get by the next scene. All right, I ended up putting the whole engine in the vapor blaster. Cleaned up pretty good. There was just like a bunch of spots that I couldn't get to, even with some of the tools that I have, like to clean in between the fins of the head and the cylinder and everything. So got that all cleaned up, dried it off. Had to get a little ingenuitive with plugging off the exhaust port and stuff like that. Those silicone plugs that I bought for doing powder coat actually come in handy for a lot of things. But I got the engine taped off. It's now recoated with that VHT satin black, which is like, I mean, I spray like a little area, and when it dries, you can't even tell the difference between the factory coating and that. It's still a little bit wet. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. You know what I mean? This is it's spray paint. You know what I mean? The more you put into it, the better you're gonna get out of it. The proper thing to do would be to strip the whole engine down, sandblast all the cases and covers and everything, and then, you know, etch prime and then paint it. But that's not what we're doing here. You know what I mean? Bike ain't gonna be, it's not worth all the effort that I would normally do to something. So like I said, is it perfect? No, but here it is. So all one color again, still drying, but I gotta sand down the fins on the head, just on the sides. I got all the levers taped off. They cleaned up pretty good in the vapor blaster. I rewrapped the stator wire coming out, and it's gonna be good enough, man. We're gonna, once this thing dries, I'm actually gonna go grab something to eat real quick. It's a little past lunchtime, and yeah, I used a manual tensioner from a 400X just as a block off plate, and I took the tensioner that was on there, tested it, and then I vapor blasted it. Came out pretty good. All those little pops of aluminum, and when I put the stainless steel bolt kit on that engine, is really gonna make everything pop, man. So thankful to have that vapor blaster, man. I'm glad I finally put that thing together. I use it all the damn time. I also vapor blasted, or sandblasted and vapor blasted the rear master cylinder. Got that nice and cleaned up. I'm debating on whether I'm just going to leave it on there like this, vapor blasted aluminum, or go back to the color it was, which was black. So I have caliper paint for that this way, because, you know, brake fluid's corrosive. It'll chew off if I just use, like, I would assume even this. This might be petroleum safe though. But all right, I'm gonna let that dry, put the engine back in the frame. I gotta clean up like some little mounts and other things that I took off the engine, and we'll pick back up after I swap all the bolts out. I'm gonna do them one at a time. And that's actually one of the reasons why I buy those aftermarket bolt kits, man. You could they all come individually packaged, so when I take them out of their package, I can put the OEM hardware back in and have all the hardware organized and ready to go if I ever want to have it re-zinc plated or just list it for sale on eBay. I'm sure it'll be worth some more to somebody for it all being organized and bagged and tagged. But all right, let me get back to doing this. All right, man, we're at a point in the day where I'm gonna call it a day, and that's about it, man. I touched up some of the stuff on the frame, and I started swapping the bolts out on the engine. I'll show it to you guys real quick. The reason I'm going to call it a day is because I'm starting to get a little ahead of myself, and I want to like put the engine back in the frame, and I just touched up the frame, and it will kind of defeat the purpose, because it's, you know, it's gonna touch in a few spots because just how difficult it is to twist this thing back in there. But touched up the lower sections of the frame. Is the red dead on? No. But I mean, I couldn't even tell you where I stopped and continued. I just dusted some in on there because, you know, it was like all rusty. I got to do one more coat. I'll probably do that before I call it a day. But here's the engine. Started swapping out some of the bolts. You guys can see those. I got all the clutch cover bolts done. You can see all those actuators I taped off so they don't get spray painted. The splines for the kickstart. There's our cam chain tensioner in there. New bolts. I vapor blasted the timing inspection caps. Swapped all these bolts out. I got the upper motor mount. It's done in a cast aluminum color. This way it matches the timing chain tensioner that goes all like here on these 3 bolts. I got a little overspray on the foot peg bolts, but it's okay because I ordered new ones. And I'm gonna order a new sticker for there because, you know, got a little ahead of myself and got a little overspray on it. Not much, but, you know, if I didn't tell you, you wouldn't even see it. Yeah, she's coming together a little bit, man. It's gonna be a nice little bike. Is that red dead on? No, it's not dead on, you know, but like I said, it's better than rust. I think it looks all right. So this is just gonna be something I'm just gonna go ride and have like a spare bike. Emily might even ride this, so, you know, she doesn't know how to use a clutch yet. So be ready for that video soon. But anyway, all right, I'm gonna clean up and we'll pick back up tomorrow, man. Throw me a thumbs up if you're still here watching, please. I'm trying to see what that does differently with videos if people actually give it a thumbs up. You know what I mean? It's free. Just hit the little thumbs up button. It's not that hard to do. And we'll pick back up tomorrow, man. All right, next day, guys. I started doing some stuff this morning. The order from Rocky Mountain just came in. I'll show it to you in a second, but got the foot brake coated. I just mounted a couple things back up just so to, you know, keep track of them. The front skid plate is done. That's the color it should be, not black. The rear skid plate is in the sandblaster. I'm getting that done. I did the kicker, got that done. There's that motor mount plate that I was telling you about. We're missing a bolt, but I ordered all 3. My order from Rocky Mountain just came in. Like I said, I'll show you guys that. What else did I get done here? We've got the front motor mount plates are up there. I did those before I came in last night. What else did we do? I know I did something else. Oh, duh. The other skid plates in the sandblaster. I told you guys that. Here's all the stuff that came in for this 200X. So I got all 8 skid plate bolts, brand new. Full rebuild for the Kickstarter. 4 foot peg bolts. I got that motor mount that I just told you about, the 3 bolts right here. We got the bolt for the kicker. This is the bolt for the shifter. Here's the rubber for the shifter. The 2 bolts for the rear master. New spark plug. What else we got here? These are all 4 bolts for the grab bar. 2 are the same and the other 2 are different. So those are all there. The nuts that go over, or the washers that go under the nuts that hold the cylinder head down. And the nuts for the cylinder head. And what else? What else we got here? Looked at those, and that's it. That's pretty much all I needed to order for this bike. As far as hardware goes that I could get. Yeah, I cleaned up all those bolts that go to the front motor mount and go through the motor. These 2 go through the motor. These 2 go through the motor. These 2 go through the 2 lower bolt holes, and these 2 go through the 2 uppers. Probably should have ordered those new, but it's all right. I'll coat those with something and they'll hold up just fine. I believe they go black on this bike, so that kind of helps. All right, what's next? I put another coat of Bondo on the tank. Looks like a lot, but believe me, 80% of that's going to get sanded off, and, you know, that's just, you know, how you go about it. It's just easier to coat the whole thing and then sand down, and it'll just stay where the low spots are, which there ain't that many of. All right, back to work. Still going here. Got a bunch of parts prepped up. Right now I'm going through cleaning up all the bolts that I didn't order. Getting those coated with that Alumablast stuff. This way it kind of blends in with the rest of everything else. Started separating out some of those OEM bolts, the new ones, and then I took the old ones out and put them back in the OEM packaging. This way I know what they are when I keep them in storage. Just been going nuts, cleaning up all the little stuff, you know, bolts, nuts, and it's all the stuff that just takes a whole bunch of time, man. But I'm about to slap the engine back in, and we just ran into a little problem. These foot pegs that came with the bike, they don't fit. Well, the left one doesn't. So now looking at them a little closer, you guys can see the differences here. This hole is different. The mounting holes are in a different location, which is weird because the left foot peg, which is this one here, doesn't fit. The right foot peg does, but then it wouldn't match. So it's a good thing I didn't list the stock foot pegs that came on this bike on eBay yet for sale, because parts for these things are hard to come by, man. That's why I bought this thing to part it out, because there's a lot of money sitting here in used parts. But this peg is bent, so I'll have to swap out the peg section, which is the same, so that'll be fine. So I'll have to recoat these, and then I could just I'll have to figure out what these plates go to. I have no clue what they go to. Maybe like a big red, or maybe a first gen 200X. I'm not sure. I guess I could pull out that 200X frame that I have, the 84, and see if these line up. I'm betting that's probably what it's for, or a big red, like I said. Kind of sucks because, I mean, you guys can see these are unused. Never used, other than that pin got a little rusty. But so I will steal the foot peg section and the springs and transfer them over to these plates after I sandblast and powder coat these black. So that's why everything looks good. Anything else that's going on? I reinstalled the rubbers for the skid plate, those little bushings. There's the front plates. I'm not going to recoat those. They're fine. You don't really see them anyway. All these bolts are set and ready to go. I got the other ones over here. The grab bar's done. That's cooling off. And yeah, that's where we're at, man. That's where we're at. So I'm about to throw the engine in after these bolts are done. And once I load that back in there, we will pick back up. All right, man, so we're at a pretty good spot here, guys. I believe I'm going to go ahead and call this video part number 1. Part number 2, I will finish the rest of the bike. So I'll start filming all the other little things. Part 2 will be the next video that comes out, and then we'll go ride this thing. It's probably a good time for me to say this. You guys know this is not my normal style to, like, spray paint something and, you know, just recoat stuff like that. I usually, you know, since I have the ability to powder coat and vapor blast and sandblast and all that stuff here, that's what I normally do. But it's a lot of work, and like I said earlier in this video, man, this bike is not worth a whole bunch of money. I probably put more in it than it actually deserved, but the bike wasn't that bad, you know. It wasn't that bad. So this was just like a quick little spray paint cleanup, you know, and it just is what it is. Basically to show you guys that if you take your time and you actually take stuff apart and prep it properly, and you know, spray paint's all in the prep, man. You can get really good results with spray paint. Like, I'm looking at the bike right now and it looks pretty good, man. We're at a pretty good spot. So, you know I talk crap about spray paint, you know, people that spray paint stuff, but some people just spray bomb stuff while it's all together. They don't clean the dirt off of it even, and they're spray paint plastics, which you will never catch me do. I mean, maybe we'll try something like in the future on like a blaster or something and see how good we can get it. But you know, I just wanted you guys to see that you can get good results, man, with spray paint. It's all in the prep, man. But anyway, here's the bike. So I got the engine back in. She is looking pretty clean, and believe me, I ain't scared to get up close with it with you guys. You know, we got the skid plate down there with all the new hardware, all the bolts. Look at that, they all pop really good. Got all of them too. None of them are just left in there. Yeah, dude, I think it looks pretty damn good for a bike. And in part 2, I will do a breakdown of what I paid for the bike, how much I put into it, like the total. Obviously not counting my labor. I mean, I guess we could mess around and figure out how many hours I have in it and price that out too. And we'll see where we're at and what we could get for the bike. I think a bike that's in clean riding shape, being that it's an 86 200X, The 87's even more rare. I think they only made like 3,000 of these or something like that. If Lou, Uncle Lou is watching, drop a comment, Lou, and you know, I'm sure one of you guys probably know how many of these were made in 86. Wasn't many though, you know, it was after the whole three-wheeler ban and everything. Like 86 was pretty much the last year for a lot of them, and then some countries got lucky and got stuff 87 and 88, like the Super Red in 1988, mainly in Australia. But yeah, we'll do a whole breakdown of what I got into this thing. The tires I had sitting here, spray paint I just always have, fork boots from Curdy, the seals, my labor, what I spent on all the new hardware that I got that I didn't even need to get, but you know, there it is. So anyway, thank you guys for checking out part 1. I'll see you in part 2 very soon. I'm going to continue working and filming, but you know, this video's gotten long enough as it is, and I'll see you guys in the garage next time.